The Cigar Nerds Podcast.
And welcome to the Cigar Nerds Podcast. I'm your host, Smokin' Joe.
I'm Brad Jackson.
The coffin.
Yeah, man, I kind of feel like I got a little bit of a bug. You know, just the itchy, scratchy throat. And, you know, on the way over here, started coughing a little bit. And I was like, that time of year.
You got to start smoking cigars again, man. It gets everything out of your lungs. You know?
Like, I actually bought a cigar, and then I was just like, no. Like, I tried to smoke one yesterday, and, like, as soon as I would inhale, like, just instantly just fucking cough, you know, just because it was tickling the throat. And I was like, motherfucker.
That's what
like,
you
I don't
said.
want to be on the mic just constantly.
Well, I'm smoking the 2025 edition of the Alec Bradley Filthy Hooligan Shamrock. Faith and Begorra, laddie. This thing has a triple barber pole wrapper of Honduran, Honduran Candela, Nicaraguan Habano, and Nicaraguan Habano Maduro, with Indonesian binders and fillers of Nicaraguan and Dominican tobaccos.
Yeah, you missed it yesterday. I was trying to get a photo, but you know, after we left the aquarium, we went to like Puckett's. You know, it's kind of like some kind of southern type restaurant. Anyway, like there'd been a group of bagpipe performers, and like I guess there was either a convention or just a get together. But all these people, like 40 people deep, showed up all in their tartans and kilts
Hell
and
yeah.
everything. I was like, damn, Joe would really appreciate this.
I got to get me a new kilt since I've lost weight. I've got a couple tactical kilts, but when I go to steampunk conventions, my camo kilt does not blend with the rest of the steampunk aesthetic. Because I need to get me a traditional kilt to go with my steampunkery.
I mean, dude, steampunk is all about brown. Like, if you can't mix in with brown with your camo, like, all you got to do is be a tree.
But right now, I've got like two 511 kilts. One of them's multicam black, and one of them's like traditional multicam, which doesn't kind of look well with the steampunkery. I tried to order one off of Amazon, and you know how sometimes you get that shit. This thing came, and it was too short to be a kilt. It was like wearing a fucking skirt. I'm like, no, I'm gonna give this one to the wife, because it looked fine the first time I wore it, but that fucker shrank when I washed it. And it was like, yeah, this is now a skirt. I'm definitely not wearing this one again. So I got to go.
What's that hanging below your skirt?
Yeah, I was afraid to sit down. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be bad.
You know, proper lady etiquette would say cross your legs.
Yeah, I was showing a little bit too much thigh in that one, so yeah, I need to go to like a regular kilt shop where I can try some on and get the correct size. Well, this week we're going to be talking about Space Goonies, aka Star Wars Skeleton Crew, which would have been a cool name for a horror movie.
Yeah, I you know, I think it's funny when we saw the trailer and we're like, it's Star Wars Goonies. And then
we watched it and we're like, yep, this is definitely fucking Goonies.
But at the same time, like, I got to give credit where credit's due, and we'll get into this more, you know, into the main topic. It kind of broke some of the Star Wars mold that I was happy to see.
It's we'll get that into a minute. But if you've got to fight off space pirates, you should call on the Strike Force. StrikeForceEnergy.com. Use your promo code Cigar Nerds for 20% off your order, and use that 20% to go buy you some Alec Bradley Shamrock cigars for St. Patty's Day.
And drink your Guinness,
your green beer, or your Guinness, or your Jameson.
I was never the green beer person.
Yeah, because it's always the cheapest fucking beer they have that they put. It's like Bud Light with dye in it.
I'm like, no, not it.
Just give me a Guinness and a shot of JMO. If we're gonna go full Irish.
I mean, dude, that's
put on the Boondock Saints.
That's kind of my go-to is just Guinness and a shot of Jameson, if I'm not having an old fashioned.
Irish old fashioned. You throw a little green dye in your old fashioned. Garnish with a fucking clover.
Only if it brings me good luck.
You drink enough of those, you might get lucky, laddie. But with that, we'll be right back with the main show. And welcome back.
Almost forgot to hit the button.
Never forget to, hit the button.
Well, I'm on a myself. Like I can just tell my body doesn't feel right, and I'm on like a delay. So like my brain's like, yeah, you got to do the thing, and then my body's like, okay, there you go.
Speaking of Star Wars, did you see the new calendar I got for the office?
Cat Wars.
Yes, it's it's cats with lightsabers.
You used to always be such a dog person. You're becoming such a cat person now. Did you have the cat disease?
Yeah, that where you get infected from smelling cat poop, and then you're like, yeah, want to be around cats. Probably. I blame my wife. She's a fucking crazy cat lady and yeah, now she's roped me into it.
So now you got just a house full of tigers.
Yeah, pretty much. Speaking of, anyone wants a kitten, we've got some kittens we got to find homes for. One of them's a little silver bastard that I call Beskar because he's like fucking silver. I don't know how like a black cat had like silver and brown babies, but yeah, these are
something about genetics.
Yeah. Because one of them is like a tuxedo cat, like its mother, and the other two are brown, like just straight up brown, and then one of them is like fucking silver.
That baby don't look like me.
Yeah. I was like, you whore. Where have you been?
Getting a mixture of all the DNAs.
Yeah. Skeleton Crew. You broached the topic first. Let's start there. You said it kind of broke your Star Wars mold of what you, I guess, considered Star Wars to be. And I gotta say, I agree with that. This was definitely, and I like that. I don't like some of the things Disney's been doing with Star Wars, like the last trilogy.
Well, I kind of feel like it's been.
They're starting to experiment and do things kind of a different style.
Well, I think they needed to. Like it's, and I'm gonna say this, whether it's Marvel or whatever, like you saturate a market with just the same type of storyline or character arcs or redemption stories or whatever, and it's like, okay, it's cool, we get some new faces, whatever, but at the end of the day, it's too predictable and it feels the same. Whereas this, like, I love being able to be like, okay, it's not just the same people we've been hashing for the last, 30 years or 40 years or ever how long it's been. Like, we get some new characters, some new challenges, and, we're going to do some things that are different that breaks the traditional mold where not, like, if you're going to have a villain, not every villain needs to have a redemption story. Sometimes it's good to have a bad guy that you're like, yep, that's a bad guy, and,
turns out to be an asshole.
Exactly. Like, so that to me was sort of refreshing in this. I don't want to go too heavy into it and just give, folks a reason that may not have seen this, a ton of spoilers off the bat. But, if you're looking for something cool and refreshing from Star Wars, you like a bit of a coming age story, by all means, check out Skeleton Crew. And the other thing about it, too, was originally this was pitched to be, a standalone film. And I'm kind of glad that we got the longer runtime of a season because we actually had a chance to explore and do some character development. And
yeah, instead of being a 3, 4, 6 episode thing or even like a 2-hour movie, this one definitely had time to, given it a full 8 episodes, flesh out the story more. And I was kind of worried because fucking Alkalite was so bad that it was almost like, is this one gonna also suck? Yeah. But, this time they put an A-list star in it and didn't kill him off the first episode, so...
Yeah.
He made it more than 5 minutes.
But, I think that was the other thing that was kind of refreshing with this is, it's not all just CGI. There's a combination of, stop motion. There's, some CGI. There's, practical. Like, I thought that all of the effects and everything else were just...
Yeah, we compared it to Goonies. I really love, we'll get into specific later, but I loved the character design of the various pirate crews. from the looks of it, mostly practical kind of people in costumes. It looked like OG Star Wars. I mean, I'm like these ridiculous looking characters. I mean, hell, the head pirate's looks like a fucking werewolf with a bandolier of pirate pistols. I'm like, hell, even fucking Urkel was in there. I'm like, this just looks badass.
So I don't know. This really exceeded it. I will say that give it time. There is character building and development that happens, but at no point did I go into this being like, all right, enough of this. Let's get to the action or the meat of the story or anything. I felt like the pacing was really good throughout this series.
Yeah, I mean, and even though it's like, as we keep saying, freaking Space Goonies, it didn't feel like, oh, this is so formal. It's like, it was fun. It wasn't like, oh, I'm just watching Goonies with new characters.
Well, I thought it was great because
it had a lot of heart, and it was like, I'm like, hey, this is a kid-surrounded film, which, I mean, we got that in, hell, the fucking Ewok movies, so it's doing kid-friendly shit's not outside the realm of Star Wars, but it's been a while, and it's
but at the same time, like,
a fun story that you could.
I thought that it did a good job on, even giving us some background into the parents and why they feel like they need to live in a bubble and have sort of been sheltered and afraid of the outside world, that and that, I guess, sense of security is ultimately what they're trying to pass on to the kids, and the kids are just trying to be kids.
Yeah, so to kind of get into the story, the kids are on a planet called At-Aten, which they are unaware is basically a hidden planet, because back in the time of the Republic, it was basically their Fort Knox. It was where they made the currency of the Galactic Republic before the Empire took over. And, during the whole Empire thing, people kind of forgot it existed. But, the supervisor basically just kept, since, we find out way later on, is a droid himself, just basically like, all right, we're sticking to the program. All the people live here. You all have jobs that, are basically, you
got to do the great work.
Yeah, and the great work is apparently printing money that no one has ever come to pick up. So there's just vaults and vaults of freaking cash because they've, the Republic fell and no one bothered to tell the Empire, like, hey, this cash planet still exists. And it's like protected by this great barrier that's basically a camouflaged fog laced with automated defense turrets that blast any ship that comes into the fog without, some kind of authorization broadcaster or whatnot. So these kids have were born way past the time the planet got abandoned. So they're like, and from the looks of it, their parents and, everyone else, there's been there for no telling how long, because this is taking place 5 years after the fall of the Empire, and they've just been living their day-to-day lives. It was like, I didn't know Star Wars had suburbs. Whenever it shows the kids going to school and shit, I'm like, this is just straight up fucking suburbs.
Yeah. Get prepared for your assessment test.
And I like the roaming security bots that are everywhere look like freaking surveillance cameras. Like, their heads just look like fucking surveillance. Like, if that's not a Big Brother's watching, I don't know what is. Like, literally, these droids all have fucking security cameras for heads.
Well, I mean, I thought that was kind of cool, I mean, and in some ways, you get some Orwellian, you might not, I mean, I guess you have the illusion of, free choice, but really, it's very much just ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, you go to school basically to learn whatever your job is going to be, and eventually you take the their kind of SATs. Like, oh, you have the aptitude for this. You're going to be this in the kind of like,
modern
little
civilization.
Little communist, maybe.
But I mean, it's really no different than, hey, you're going to go to college, you're going to study, this is your, kind of your career path. Oh, wait, that went off the rails, and, life has a way of, kind of changing the cards for you.
Yeah, and we get our 4 kids. We have Wim, who's
very whimsical.
Yeah, he's like, he wants adventure. He's like, I don't want to, my dad's an engineer or whatever. I don't want to like, he's reading old books about like the Jedi and shit that, and he's like, I want to be like a Jedi. I want to, save the galaxy. I don't want to be stuck here doing, the same old thing everyone else is doing.
But I mean, I can absolutely I think back to my childhood and, whether it was playing with fire trucks or, playing fucking army men and, being like, yeah, I'm going to drive a fighter jet and all these other things. Like,
we had to join corporate America. Oh, and then you got his best friend, Neil, who is a elephant-like alien, who's kind of a little bit of a...
I kept wanting to call him Elephant.
In the Goonies reference, I'm like, all right, Wim is, fuck, I'm having a brain fart. I can't remember like the original kids' names, but yeah, he was the main guy. He was and then Neil is Chunk.
Yeah.
And then you've got Fern, who is the like the kind of the adventurous one. She drives a customized speeder bicycle thing. She's the more like wild one of the group. I guess she would be a Corey Feldman's character. And then you've got KB, who is
obviously Data.
Yeah, which she is like apparently had some kind of injury and has like some cybernetic implants and shit. So I'm like, and then I guess you would call SM33 would be Sloth.
Yeah, I mean. I kind of did that after I watched it, like, tried to draw the comparisons, but I really tried to go into this, like, letting it kind of stand on its own and not trying to be like, oh, Simpsons did that, that's already been done. Like, I tried not to pick it apart, in those regards until after I finished the series.
Jod was one of the Fratelli brothers.
Jada.
Janana Wood.
Which should have just been, like I felt like that was a place, a play on like nada, or nada your business.
What about that opening, like when we were first, and before we even get to the kids, when we were introduced to like the pirate gang raiding the ship and shit? I liked his outfit before he got arrested by the pirates. It's like the fucking mask and like the fucking pirate hat and shit. I'm like, oh yeah, this is fucking Space Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yeah. I know, I like that, but I also like too, like, just fucking Brutus, I mean, just, and them calling the mutiny and everything else, and I don't know, I mean, that first episode did such a good job of, kind of building a little bit of our character arc, but at the same time, like, not just truly giving everything away.
Yeah, so Wim, of course, misses basically the SATs and tries to take a shortcut to school and crashes his bike in a ravine and finds like a buried door, and he's like, this must be a hidden Jedi temple.
That's what we used to think every time we went exploring in Dawson Forest. You do know that, right?
we're looking for the fucking hidden nuclear stuff. So the kids go back after school and dig it up and find it's not a temple, but a buried pirate ship. And of course, whatever you do, don't touch anything. And of course, as soon as they get the power back on, there's a button flashing.
We should definitely push the button.
Which launches the ship, and it fucking takes off into deep space. And they're like, where the fuck are we? And the only other thing alive on the ship, other than a space rat, is SM-33, the pirate droid, which I love it because he's missing an eye, so he's already got like and there's like some kind of like space squirrel living in his fucking eye socket, so he's like, yeah, it's like a pirate. He's got his eye patch, and then one of his feet were missing, so he had a peg leg too, and even kind of talked like an old pirate. And that was voiced by Nick Frost.
I love in all the years, like, our ideas of pirates, like, even if they're space pirates, all remain the same.
Yeah. Oh. And unfortunately for them, like, all right, can you take us back home? He's like, where do you live? We're from Ad-Atten. I don't remember no Ad-Atten. Can't you just take us home? He's like, yeah, sure. See all those stars? Point to one. Which one do y'all belong to? And they're like, fuck.
And that, my friends, is the downfall of hyperdrive.
Yeah. And he's like, I know this one planet we can go get repairs and resupplies. Maybe someone there can tell you where At-Atten is. So, of course, he takes the kids to a fucking pirate hangout. Yeah. A bunch of innocent kids in the pirate hangout. And even them are like, all right, yeah, funny. You At-Atten's an old wives' tale, like, fucking nursery rhyme for pirates. That's the hidden treasure planet. And they're like, no, we're actually from said planet. And of course they get arrested, and because as badass as SM-33 is, every time he shows up, you think he's going to rescue the kids. He just immediately gets stunned and yeah. God damn it. I'll protect you, Captain. Oh, well, fuck.
And that, my friends, is the downfall of being a droid.
Yeah.
So acceptable to stuns.
So they end up in jail and trying to figure a way out, and old Jod Nawood, played by Jude Law, is like slapped in rags. He's like, hey, if you guys got a ship, I'll get y'all out of here if y'all take me with you. And then like freaking force levitates the keys. And through this whole series, I was like, is he actually force sensitive, or is it some kind of technological trick?
And see, that's...
like we saw in Obi-Wan, they had the scam artist pretending to be a Jedi and just basically using like magnets and force technology to imitate the Force. So I kept like, this dude's it's a scam. He's got like a magnet or something. You don't find out he's legitimately force sensitive till like much later on. But I kept like, is this all a scam, or is he a former Jedi? I'm like,
but see, that's what I thought the series did great. Was keeping you like kind of on the fence on, is he good? Is he bad? But then you find out what you find out.
For being a bad guy,
he starts out very likable.
Yeah, and even when he kind of makes the heel turn, he's never like... He threatens the kids a lot, but he never actually kills anybody other than droids. So he talks a lot of shit, but he seems like he has like at least some moral code. It may be a very gray one, but
I mean, a lot of people pretend to have a moral compass when money's involved.
Yeah. So at the first he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a Jedi. I will help you kids get home as long as you tell me where you got your pirate booty."
On a place that doesn't exist, far, far away.
Yeah.
But see, that's one of the things I like is, getting to explore different planets and seeing different species and creatures and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it did a very good job of like each episode was pretty much a different environment. They didn't spend like 3 episodes walking through the forest like Alkalite. It's like each episode was a completely new environment with completely new characters. Then I was like,
but at the same time, that continuing story, definitely not one that you could be like, oh, I'm gonna skip this episode, because then you're gonna be lost as shit. But I don't know. I was almost tempted to be like, it becomes Star Wars. You're the Star Wars expert. I'm like, Joe, there's shit I don't understand. What have I missed? Well, did you watch this? Did you watch that? So it was kind of great to be like self-contained.
Yeah,
in
I
that
mean,
regard.
if you had seen Star Wars, you have enough information to follow the show. There wasn't like you didn't have to watch 3 seasons of The Mandalorian or all of the Clone Wars or Bad Batch to understand what was going on. Like I love Ahsoka, but I think Ahsoka has a little bit of homework. You've got to be familiar with at least the Rebels cartoon series to understand what the hell's going on in Ahsoka. But this was like, yeah, you could pretty much if you've only seen the original movies, you're like even if you haven't seen the second or whatever, I guess at this point the third trilogy, enough to like follow what the hell's going on in this in this show. Or even if you haven't, I mean, other than what's a Jedi, that's about all you needed to be familiar with.
Can you explain pirates? I thought we were talking about like cracking computer programs and stuff. I mean, in a way we were. It just, took down planetary defense system. Oops.
Oh yeah, and I like the kind of the first stop once Jude gets on there. Like they make him like, we can't leave without our droid. And he's like, fine, I'll go rescue the droid and stuff. And he's like, you're a Jedi, you don't leave anybody behind. He's like, that's not how it works, kid. They're like, I'm the captain. We're not leaving without. We gotta have somebody to follow. He goes back in there and rescues fucking SM-33. Oh, but he's like, well, I know a lady who's like a master of. She knows like all the navigation points. We can go see her and she can tell you how to get back to your home. She's
not a lady at all.
No, she's a fucking
wise old owl.
Literally. Like I wonder, ask her how many licks it takes to the center of a Tootsie Roll. I was like, I'm getting like serious Harry Potter flashbacks. We went from Goonies to Harry Potter.
That's a series I've yet to dive into. But I kind of felt that. Like, I was like, oh, it's... Like, even without really watching a lot of Harry Potter, I was like, I kind of get these vibes.
Yeah. Oh. There's an owl. And she's wise. All right. That's cool.
Side quest.
Yeah, side quest. But yeah, they... she's like... Immediately notices... He's like, that guy's a fucking criminal. Let me call the New Republic. They're like, yeah, like delay him as long as you can. X-wings are en route, and them, kind of figuring out like, well, there was 12 kind of hidden planets of the Republic, and most of them have all been destroyed. But At-Aten was never found. Like, I think these are the coordinates to the planet, and. They find out that the cops are on their way and have to take off. And, she's like, whatever you do, kids, don't trust them. But if you need me, if you get into trouble, call me. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's going to come back to at some point. And then you see, like, fucking old school X-Wings show up and the kids are having, that it's kind of like that Han and Luke escaping Tatooine for the first time. He's like, all right, get in the blaster, kid. And like, them having to like, learn how to shoot. And, he's like, you don't have to kill anybody. Just, fucking scare them off so we can get the fuck out of here. they're like, oh yeah, it's the game. Like Wim for like, it's so much like we are in life threatening danger, but he's never like worried about it. He's like, this is fun. This is an adventure. Like, dude, we're about to die.
I'm experiencing something.
Yeah.
It's not just mundane.
It's like, fucking Neil is like the voice of reason most of the time. Like, dude, like, we probably shouldn't be doing this. It's going to be okay. Get on the blasters. Like, fly the ship, Neil. What? I don't want to fly the ship.
All you got to do is push the button.
So the planet that they land on is not At-Aten, but one of At-Aten's sister planets, I guess you would call it, that apparently did not survive as well as At-Aten did. But they're like, what the hell? Like, how long have we been gone? Because like it looks like our home, but everything's like blown the fuck up. And then they get kidnapped by one of the kind of at Akron, I think is where they, like Akron, Ohio, kind of look similar. The resistance, because apparently there's two like warring factions fighting over the planet, and they're like, all right, you kids are now soldiers in our army, and one girl shows Neil that she's like, yeah, this on our planet, this is a school. And she's like, does your school have this? We got turbo lasers on the roof. Turns out, yes, his school does this. They didn't know about it.
Yeah, but I thought that planet was kind of cool, like to give the kids some perspective that, while you're out looking for adventure and everything else, like this planet here is all about just fighting to survive, and you really don't get any kind of childhood adventure.
And I like before the kids leave the ship, they're like, you stay with the ship. 33, babysit him. He's like, all right, babysitting protocol engaged. Come here, baby. Come on, baby. Get back on the ship, baby. And then they get run into the other group of people, and you think they're screwed, and he just kind of bribes them like, hey, here's some money I found, let me have those things you stole from the other people, and I'll return them and get the kids back. And you're like up until this point, he seems generally a good dude.
It could go either way, and that's I don't know, that's kind of what I was saying. I was surprised because I was like, typical Star Wars, we're just gonna do our normal redemption arc. The bad guy's not really bad. He finds love in a hopeless place, due to all these kids, and I don't know. We're going to have to continue to find out how this plays out.
Yeah, and they find, in their version of the supervisor's office, they're like, oh, here's coordinates for all the other planets. Here's At-Atten, but it's been erased. And the droid keeps like, I don't recall no At-Atten. And they're like, oh, wait a minute. His mind has been, he's under orders. And they're like, hey, I'm your new captain, and I order you to tell us about At-Atten. He's like, yeah, I destroyed that thing because Captain told me to do it. And he said if anybody came looking for At-Atten, I was supposed to tear them limb from limb. And he goes full murder bot, and they have to flip him off. I'm like, uh-oh, shit's getting real.
We're in danger.
Yeah, but
Again.
Neil finally grows a set and stops him from killing the other kids, and then faints. It's like, yep, I just pooped myself. But once the
wise old elephant.
Yeah, once they get back on the ship and get out there, they the droid's like, all right, yeah, I'm better now. I don't have the actual coordinates, but I know where they would have been stored. They would have been stored on Captain Renaud's hidden base. It's on this, and he's telling them all these stories oh yeah, it's a harsh pirate castle in these death mountains, and there's pools of acid where he would burn his enemies, and they get there and it's been turned into a resort world. He's like, what the hell? Those mud pools are for drowning people, not mud bathing. This is when it went full Goonies. This was them going through the labyrinth under the restaurant. And literally they find their way into the old pirate base underneath the fucking spas where you see this big nasty alien who's giant Cthulhu looking motherfucker, and he's just like, oh yeah, tell me your story. I want to hear your pirate tales, kids. He's just completely the scariest fuck looking. He's like, y'all are fun. Yeah, tell me a story. I'll help y'all out. Hello, Mr. Cthulhu.
Please don't drive me mad.
But yeah, this is the whole getting down to the booby-trapped treasure room, finding the actual coordinates, and this is where we finally get Jod making his full heel turn and be like, I'm taking over now. I challenge you to be the captain.
And we learn all about the importance of Claimsy.
Yeah, Claimsy's no takebacks. But yeah, I mean,
I thought that was dibs.
He could have. He goes bad, but he doesn't go full bad because he could have easily killed her to take but he's just chokes her, basically gets her in a headlock. And he's like, just say you yield, and I can let you go. I don't want to hurt you. Just you got to see, you yield. And finally, he's like, all right, I yield. He's like, I'm the captain now. Yeah. He's like, all right, arrest the kids. And I like in the all the treasure shit. Wim finds a lightsaber, and he's like, it's my turn to finally be a Jedi. I'm gonna save her.
Yeah.
And it's like upside down, and nearly cuts his foot off. It's like, oh shit.
I am not trained.
Yeah. So yeah, homeboy.
But I thought the lightsabers could only be active. I thought they were force activated. Are they not? Is it just really just toggle switch?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's so disappointing.
A lot of them have a safety too. Depends on how the Jedi make their lightsaber. Because some of them,
If it's a Glock made lightsaber, no safety.
yeah, and some of them they've like basically will put like a internal button, so no one can take your lightsaber from you. Someone that force sensitive has to be able to like flip the switch internally, because it's kind of all depends on how they made their, because each Jedi makes their own lightsaber. And most of them have a safety too, so if you drop it, it doesn't stay activated. Like, so when you see them like throwing the lightsaber through the air, they literally have to keep the button pressed with the force, or it'll turn off.
Ow, that hurt. It's like getting hit in the head with a rock.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't want to cut somebody, I'm pretty sure a lightsaber hilt up to the side of the head would probably hurt. It's like the space version getting pistol whipped. Fucking Jedi gangsters just pistol whipping motherfuckers. Ow. Hand me my lightsaber. It's the one that says bad motherfucker. Mace Windu gonna pimp slap you.
God. Oh. Star Wars meets Pulp Fiction.
And especially like with, he's like, all right, take the kids hostage, and they escape through a trap door and end up going down a fucking water slide to the garbage dump. I'm like, yep, I remember this from Goonies. I mean, that whole episode is like, it's kind of Goonies, but when we get to that episode, like, no, we've gone full Goonies on this episode.
But that's okay, though.
It was fun.
I mean, and that's ultimately what I thought. I was like, it's fun, like it was engaging, it kept my attention, and at like the first few episodes, like I was like, all right, I'm enough of the character building, like let's get more into the story. But like now that I've watched the entire season, I'm like, I understand why those episodes were there and everything else, but at no point was I like, I'm bored.
Yeah. Oh, and I like that. And at this point, we get to the episode 0, Friends again, where it's like, they've been abandoned. As soon as homeboy comes out of the sewer, is like draped in gold. It's like, ah, shit, the pirates caught us. I'm rich and I'm in jail again. Fuck. And of course, get him 33, and he's like, then gets blasted again. I'm like, damn it. Every time he's about to like be the hero, he just gets fucking stunned. It's like, it sucks to be a droid.
I mean, the struggle is real.
Mm-hmm. You're this badass murder bot, and you just keep getting like taken down.
God, with all these droids, it's a good thing nobody in the Star Wars universe, thought about, if only we had, an electronic magnetic pulse that could disable droids.
Oh, yep, stunned. Fuck. It's like, some free droid, you'd be like, I need to come up with some like EMP shielding. It's like, fuck turning me off again, asshole.
What you don't know is I'm my own Faraday cage.
Yeah. And the kids have their, they're truly on their own at this point, and it's like, they're kind of having an argument where, Fern always is like, well, we'll just climb up this cliff to get to the ship. And Wim's like, we'll die if we climb that ship. Like, I'm going to follow these trash crabs here that they're like, yes, we can help. We can help. We can help you become dinner. But like, I think the trash crabs can help us. They seem to be sentient. She's like, no, I'm doing this way. So she's like, all right. So they've, D&D rules, you never split the party. They split the party. So, Neil and Fern decide to climb thing, and KB and Wim go off to follow the trash pirate, and you kind of everybody learns something, you know. Fern finally learns, like, because, you know, Neil can't, he's like, my legs aren't as long as yours, like, I can't just climb this thing, and, you know, she has to come up with a way to help him up the cliff. He's like, oh yeah, not everyone can do what I do, I need to, like, maybe help them get better or slow down a little bit so they can catch up. And then you got KB that's like, I've got droid parts. I'm starting to rust. Like, I can't do everything she wants me to do. Like, my fucking fuse box is I'm about to die if this thing doesn't, you know, and she has to depend on kind of Wim to you know, fix her. And she's like, hey, you finally got to be the hero. You saved my life. He's like, what? You were dying? I was just doing what you told me to do. I didn't realize you were fucking dying.
Yeah, well, and I mean, and this was episode 6, I think.
Yeah.
This was probably one of my favorite episodes because of that, where everybody here starts gaining their perspective on their strengths, their weaknesses. And this is really where, like, the first few episodes, I was like, I understand now.
Yeah. Neil got brave. Fern kind of learned to be a leader and not just like, we're doing what I want to do. I have to think about my crew. KB kind of learned to like open up and like depend on other people and say, hey, I need help. And Wim finally kind of realized, like, oh, this isn't just a fun game. There's like literal stakes. We could die. You know, he finally kind of
there's consequences.
Gained a little bit of maturity in this episode. It's like, so like everyone kind of learned something.
This was the coming of age moment.
Yes. Oh, and I like, you know, what's his name? Jod. He's on trial. They're like, we're going to throw you out the airlock. You know, here's your pirate trial. And he has this like epic fucking speech. Like, this is like, oh yeah, I forgot they cast Jude Law. Here's a dude that can act. And he's like, I'm fucking hungry. He's like, aren't you hungry? Like, and just this whole like speech about like, you know, and you find out like, yeah, he was trained as a Jedi, or in the process of getting trained when Order 66 happened, and he was kind of learned enough to be dangerous, and then was kind of just cast out on his own, and is like became a pirate out of just kind of necessity. But yeah, the whole thing, like, he's like, you know, he's like, Brutus here is a great first officer, but if you stay with him, you're gonna stay hungry. Come with me, and I'll get you the riches you've always desired. Like, and he's like, you know, hey, you know, what would you do if you were rich? I know you wanted to start like a fucking restaurant or whatever, and you wanted to buy that, you know, fucking mountain, you know, ski resort. You know, like, he's like, he's actually listened to the crew and knows like what the crew would do if they ever hit it rich, and is like, you know, so he's like, even though he's kind of bad at being a pirate, he's a decent leader. Like, he's actually like knows all the people that was under his command and what their kind of desires are, and uses that to kind of
the psychology
manipulate them, I guess.
of you know, being a leader in some regards.
Because it's all not just, you know,
I mean, at the end of the
bossing.
day, it's all fucking manipulation anyway.
Yeah.
But you know, better to be manipulated than have a mutiny.
Yeah, and it's like the kids like see the ship getting thrown into the trash heap, so Fern and Neil like jump on the base of the tow truck bots, and KB and Wim find out that like, oh, the little crabs have a giant crab leader who's now going to eat us that they have to get rescued from. Oh, but I like that reveal that, like, you know, they're back in the ship, they're trying to get it going, but it's getting eaten by the recycle bot, and they're like, 33 said never hit the hull destruct button. Fuck it, let's hit the button. And it turns out that like all that shit and armor was basically a disguise to like help them look like a defenseless freighter. It's actually a pretty sleek, badass warship
dude.
underneath.
Like that revelation when, you know, it goes from fucking armored to just fucking sleek and shiny and everything. I was like, fuck yeah.
The Onyx Cinder. He's like, we've got a new ship. And they immediately get captured by the pirates again.
But man, that ship looks sweet.
Yeah. Because apparently, the original pirate that tried to raid that planet stole a emissary ship, which was the guys that were supposed to come and pick up the gold and shit. So it has something in its circuitry that allows it to pass through the barrier. And, you know, old Captain Jaw decides, like, all right, I'm going to pretend to be the emissary, and I'm going to fly down with the kids and get them to, then, you know, well, I'll get them to lower the barrier and we can bring the heavy ship in and load her up. And again, you like 33's like, she's like, I'm the captain now, no takebacks. And then, you know, homeboy pulls out his lightsaber and cuts off 33's head. Like, God damn it, 33. You're the worst pirate.
Are the best. I mean, you know, you lose a leg, you lose an eye, like, you gotta have, you know,
like a fucking little fucking rat thing's like still in his eye.
Ratatouille.
Oh, but yeah, they get home, and I like, yeah, he's like, I will kill your parents if you tell anybody what's going on. Like, and he's like, yeah, I'm the emissary. I'm gonna go, you know, load up the gold, and he tells like the droids, like, yeah, you need I need my bigger ship. And like, well, you have to go see the supervisor for that, and we get I totally expected the supervisor to be that original pirate that tried to, you know, crashed the ship there years ago, that he just like fucking took over the planet. Turns out, no, he was dead.
I was expecting, you know, some sort of a actual Jedi or something to that effect, to be like, I see through your disguise.
But the droid does, because I love that when he goes to meet the supervisor and you find out it's just a big computer brain. He's like, so, yeah, sure, we can lower the barrier and get your people in here. I just have one question. You say you're the emissary and you're a Jedi. The last communications we had from the Republic said that the Jedi had turned and they were all enemies of the state. So which part are you lying about, being the emissary or being a Jedi? He's like, oh, fuck.
This computer's got brains. But, you know, as much effort as they put into protecting the planet, like, if the supervisor is running everything, like, wouldn't you have more protection than just being like, put your lightsaber in my eye hole?
Yeah, he had his battle bots. He probably should have, like, you know, taken him out before getting within lightsaber distance. He's like, yeah, I'll talk to you way over there, homie. Don't get close. Stun his ass in the elevator, and then
it's like, this not a thing we can, you know, have a phone call about. Like, no, my name's Karen, I need to speak to your manager.
Oh. And, you know, and once they're no longer being watched by the droids, because he's like, you know, I'm watching you through the droids. If you tell your parents what's going on, I'm going to kill everybody. He's like, so as soon as he kills the main bot, all the other bots like fall down. So, all right, you know, tell their parents what's going on, and the kids all go into like rescue mode, and like Wim and Fern are we gotta get to the supervisor's office and shut down the ship.
Yeah, that's where we get our second great adventure.
And KB goes to like steal the ship back. She's like, I've got the, yeah, nice owl lady gave me an emergency number to call. Like, I need to get past the barrier and, you know, call for help. And you call in the X-Wings, and then you get like you see her trying to, yeah, her trying to like fly the ship. And it's like, it finally cuts to, it's like she's reactivated KB, and like he's flying and she's just holding his like severed head. She's like, I got him up and running, I just haven't figured out how to attach the head back yet. And he's like, yes, 33's back.
Yeah.
Oh,
but for how long?
And of course, you know, pirates take down the barrier, and the big pirate ship comes in and starts, you know, taking over the planet. But old KB actually sent out the distress signal before everything went to shit. And this is the point, since it was in the right time frame, and the last we seen the Mandalorian, he was now working as a bounty hunter for the New Republic. I'm like, I want to see because he's already fucked up some pirates. Like, I just wanted to see the the fucking N1 fighter come screaming in and be like, "Fuck yeah, the Mandos are here!" But no, we get like a fleet of X-wings come in and start fucking shit up, and then it ends with you see. It never specifically says it, but it's that white Corellian Corvette that is synonymous as like Princess Leia's ship. I'm like, is this General Organa coming to? Is she the one that came to rescue the planet? It kind of ends with you see the fucking Corellian Corvette coming in after the X-wings have came in and fucked up all the pirates, and I'm like, is that Leia? But yeah, we don't we don't get to see that. That's where it ends. Either that or fuck, I wanted to see the Ghost and General Syndulla show up and wreck shit. I'd be like, yeah, there's fucking Chopper and 33 can become friends and.
But I mean, this was part of what made it great too, because we always talk about Star Wars and oftentimes the lack of space battles and stuff, but I actually enjoyed some of the air combat, but then too, like as the pirates are coming down, it's like, oh fuck, we gotta hop on our speeder bike, take evasive action and everything else. Like some of those action sequences I thought were pretty badass.
And Dad, who's like Wim's dad, who's kind of like nerdy dude, he's like stepping up, helping them like fight the pirates and shit. And even Fern's mom is like, oh yeah, the adults aren't just useless. They're kind of bad. They're manning up there. Dad's like trying to fight some pirates and shit. Yeah. Speaking of talking about the lack of like space fight, we got space battles, but we got it from. Normally we're like in the cockpit from like the pilot's perspective. I thought it was kind of cool showing it from like an outside perspective, like people on the ground watching this like badass space battle going on.
Like, that's a lot of heavy metal about to rain down on us.
Yeah. Maybe we should seek shelter.
Nah, this is too cool.
And fucking Neil, like, constantly like taking a bath, and people keep scaring the shit out of me because he's got a fucking skylight in the bathroom. First time, like, when Wynn's trying to get him to go dig up the pirate ship, he's like, "Hey!" And he's like, "Ah, damn it, it's my bath time." And then same thing when the big pirate frigate comes in, he's like still sitting in the bathtub, like, "Oh shit." Next house we get, not gonna be a fucking skylight in the bathroom, man. People keep interrupting my bubble time.
I love the fact that they still use walkie-talkies too.
Yes, that was the most like fucking Goonies thing. It's like Jedi 1 to Jedi 2 come in. I'm like, oh, I mean, yeah, it's a fun kids freaking movie. It just happened to be in Star Wars. If this wasn't the Star Wars universe, this could just have been like a standalone, like, we don't get many of those movies now. Like, back in our day, or hell, my day, in the 80s, there was these movies where kids were going on adventures that, were quite dangerous. And we've, E.T.,
I mean, we didn't have warning labels to tell us that this was dangerous. It was just, well, if you died, nah.
Like, I don't think we haven't kind of had that until maybe like Stranger Things kind of brought back that of like, here's kids in mortal danger. And this really was like kind of a throwback to that 80s kid adventure movies that, we grew up on.
But not so kiddish that, like
as an adult, as a, an old 45-year-old ass man, like, I'm like, this is still fun. I can understand if I was a kid, I would, be super excited about the series. But as an adult, it was entertaining enough. But even as a Star Wars fan, I'm like, all right, this is cool. It's Star Wars adjacent at least. There's enough Star Wars in this to like, this is cool, and not the character design and the effects were all like, really good. Like the aliens looked kind of like Star Wars aliens. It wasn't like a fucking CGI fest.
Well, I'm just happy that, like, all the kid actors and everybody else, like, everybody pulled through. Like, you got such a big personality, and Jude Law, like, dude, like, that could have been very overpowering,
Yep.
But the dynamics and everything just worked, and I would not have been disappointed, I don't think, seeing this on like a big screen or something, but I would be concerned about what would be cut and left out that, we got to experience in a season.
Oh, and I saw one thing, because this being Star Wars, there's always like little Easter eggs here and there. If you pay close attention to the pirate treasure room, the Ark of the Covenant is in the pirate treasure room from Indiana Jones. Like somebody like pointed that out online. I was like, oh shit, yeah, that's the fucking Ark.
I bet if we were to go back and rewatch this and really,
there's probably like way more shit
Yes.
in that room that
like I'm sure somebody's
going to
be like, the 100 Easter eggs you've missed, and be like, yep, I missed all 98 of those.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to jump on the YouTube and see what kind of random.
If only
Easter
we
eggs
had a team to pick things apart for us.
Yeah, like all the big fucking podcasters have a producer that sits off screen and Googles shit for them. We need a Googler.
Quick! I think that's AI.
Oh shit, yeah. Maybe we can get us a droid, and the droid can Google shit for us off screen.
No, because we'd be the dumbasses that would like inadvertently like cause the droid to stun itself. It'd be like, the hell? What did you guys just say? What does that even mean? Short circuit.
That's like, have you ever looked at those? I want to do it, but it's stupid expensive. The fan home model subscription. It takes you like.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
All right, there's this company called Fan Home that they do these really super detailed models with like lights and sound effects and all this other shit, but it's a subscription. So each month they send you a couple steps of the model, and it takes you like fucking 2 years to build this goddamn thing. But they have the Star Wars license, and they have a Millennium Falcon that is like 3 foot long. They've got a R2 unit you can control it from a phone app, or it's also voice activated. You can tell it to do shit and it'll do it. And their newest one is a like 40-inch Darth Vader with like lights and sounds and fucking lightsaber. Like his cape is like cloth and shit, but it's like fucking like $80 to $100 a month. And like I said, it takes you like 2 years to build these things because it's like 120 parts and you get like 6 steps each month. But the fucking we can get us a real R2 unit, and maybe he can Google shit for us.
Be like, R2, where are we gonna put him?
I need to do that's the only reason I have.
And then we got to build ramps because I don't think R2 can do stairs, or is that claptrap?
Maybe. I mean, I really wanted to do the Millennium Falcon, but I'd have to hang it from the ceiling. I've got nowhere to put a 3-foot Millennium Falcon. I mean, we could get the 3-foot Darth Vader and just have him sitting in the chair over here. He's like our third guest host. He just sits over here and breathes through the whole episode.
Like, what?
Dude. What do you think, Darth? Like, you can even take the helmet off, and it has like the burnt up like fucking Anakin Skywalker face and shit. It's like stupid fucking detailed. But yeah, it's like by the time you build it, you spend like $1,500 on one of these damn models. But they are badass. I gotta get that YouTube money before I can buy something like that. So do you think there's anything that they wrap this up pretty good, but do you think this is something that could get a season 2?
I kind of think so because, there at the end, all we see is, our main protagonist just peering out the window. Like,
yeah, like they tried, when the X-Wings show up and start fucking everything up, they try to like, Jod, come with us. And he's just like, kind of defeated. He's like, nah, I'm just going to sit here. I'm probably going to go to jail. Fuck it. And, the ship kind of crashed, but 33 is still alive, the kids are still alive, and the New Republic has shown up to save them. So I mean,
secret's out. Like, does that bring in maybe the pirates aren't the biggest threat in the universe? And
or the kids end up like
that, or like
people are allowed to go off world now. Maybe the kid goes to some kind of like junior space academy, and now he's like learning to be an actual X-Wing pilot or some shit.
I think possibly we see him going into, some Jedi-esque training. I mean, obviously, I would say, like, as much as this surprised me, not doing the typical Star Wars stuff, like, I could very easily see us getting a season 2 where it's all redemption arcs.
Yeah, we get a whole new new thing out of it. We get to see how they adjust to being part of the New Republic.
But I mean, then again, could go the Stranger Things route and be like, as time progresses, the kids, mature and age a little bit,
check back in a couple years,
exactly.
And they're teens in some kind of New Republic Academy, getting into some kind of adventure. Who knows? Or hell, we may even get like a fucking Jod escaped and didn't go to space prison, and now he's on his own solo adventure somewhere in the galaxy.
Far, far away. You always have to say far, far away.
Yeah. Oh.
But I don't know. I think that they sort of left it open-ended, and I haven't looked to see, what... I know my take on it. I'm at the point now to where I don't even look at reviews and stuff anymore because it's
everyone who has seen it, for the most part, likes it, but I think the viewership was down on this one, probably because just hangover from the Alkalite. Like, Alkalite gave too many people a bad taste, and they're like, fuck that, I don't want to check in. But the people who, all right, I'll give this a shot, have all been like, oh, this is actually really good. It's like the people that don't like it are the people that haven't seen it, for the most part.
That's I don't know. That's where, I get people having their fandoms and everything else of that nature, but, if you haven't given something a worthwhile shot, I don't know, can you really just be like, I'm over it? Either you give it the benefit of a doubt and form your own opinion, that's, I don't know, it's too cool just to hate on stuff or whatever now, and
I didn't like the Alkalite, but I watched every episode. I have to give it a shot and see it in its entirety before I can be like, all right, this shit's poorly written. Where this, I'm like, it kind of had a little bit of a slow start, but then it got really good. So you really had to stick past that first episode to be like, okay, this is fucking awesome. But then
without that first
episode, and not even the whole first episode, the second half of it got good. The first half was of just kids going to school. I'm like, whatever, it's gonna be a kiddie movie. But then it got, once they jumped in the ship and the adventure started, I'm like, all right, I'm on board now.
I'm the droid that got stunned. Now I'm just along for the ride.
Well, as we kind of land this ship here, Shamrock, good as ever. This is the new edition. It's got a little bit of a vanilla, a little bit of a little bit of woodiness, a little bit of black pepper, and of course in that Candela you also get that.
I always like how
grassy,
they do the
grassy
barber pole with the Candela.
Yeah, because
I would not by itself, smoke a full wrap Candela cigar.
Yeah, a Candela by itself can be a little bit too grassy, unless you like that, chewing on hay feel. But when you mix it with the Habano and the Maduro, it gives it a little nuance. It's not overpowering. That grassiness is still there, but then I said you also get that kind of woody, vanilla, peppery hit from the other stuff. So it's a good balance, And these, so far he's released these every year leading up to St. Paddy's Day, so it's not around enough to become a everyday smoke for me. But every year when they come out, I'm like, oh yeah, I like that last year. Let me give it another try, and I've yet to be disappointed with one.
I'm just saying, I would be disappointed that there's no Guinness, but at this point, I don't think I'd even taste Guinness. And I see your decanter's empty.
My decanter's empty. I got to refill that. Where is it? I mean, it's a pirate episode. We should have had some rum. Why is the rum, or in this case, bourbon, always gone? Oh, yeah, because I drank it. But with that, we'll be right back. And you've been watching the Cigar Nerds podcast. Check us out on cigarnerdpodcast.com and on the ESO Network, esonetwork.com. And don't forget, smoke them if you got them. Like, comment, and subscribe.